Naoki, thank you so much for being here today, taking some time out of your busy schedule to answer some questions for
Oh,
the
thank you.
lovely ladies that are in my meditation experience this week. It's been really, really great, and for many of them, it's been a brand new experience. They've never done any sort of meditation before, so I think just having community and guidance has been really helpful, and to have your expertise is a real treat. So thank you so much for helping
Oh,
out
it's a
with
pleasure to
us.
be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome. Awesome. So let's just go ahead and dive right into the questions, unless you have anything that you want to
Yeah, I think
say
it'll be
about it.
a natural, things will naturally unfold as we answer the questions.
Okay,
So what kind of
awesome.
questions do we have?
So the first one I got was, she says, when I first started meditating last year, I didn't fall asleep all the time, but now I do. Is this okay?
So during meditation, she's falling asleep. She's asking if it's correct or if it's okay or not. So, of course, there's many meditations out there, and different modalities will tell you yes, no, or maybe, or somewhere in between. Now, from my experiences, well, just to let you know a little bit about my background, I've been, on the self-discovery path for about 25 years, trying different meditation techniques and prayers and, weekend retreats, yoga. And for the past 10 years, I've been doing TM, strictly TM. And I can kind of give you my experiences on that. And from various backgrounds, for example, in Zen Buddhist meditation, of course, when I went to the temple and do meditation there, you have to have a strict posture. And if you're not in that posture, the teacher will come around with a big stick and hit you in the head or in the shoulders. And so if it was a Zen meditation, then the answer would be no. You wouldn't be, sleeping is bad for meditations. But if you're in a Buddhist meditation, for example, of course they want you to sit in like lotus position. And so if you're kind of starting to droop over and falling off the chair, then of course it's kind of frowned upon also. But then there are dream techniques and sleeping techniques. So which means that if you're doing those, depends on what you're doing. If you're doing some dreaming or sleeping techniques, then of course that is okay, because that's the whole goal, is for your bodies to go to sleep. You know. But then for TM, I found that if you're feeling fatigued and the sleepiness is coming out, it's a good thing, because the body's naturally trying to release the fatigues and the stresses of the day. And so when when we take a power nap, we feel more refreshed and more energetic afterwards. So apparently, for me, I think in general, it's a good thing to go to sleep. If it's natural, then your body's naturally wanting to do that. We're not going to force the body to do anything unnatural. So I think if it's coming out naturally, then just go to sleep, wake up. If you feel better, then that's great. And if you don't, then try not to go to sleep.
That's great. So I actually tried Zazen, the Zen Buddhist meditation, one time since I've been here in Japan, because I wanted the experience. And for everyone, I haven't gotten into this and really talked about it so much, but I practice transcendental meditation, which we call TM for short, because it rolls off the tongue a lot easier. And so definitely that's my go-to meditation, but there are benefits for different techniques also. So anyway, my experience in Zazen was when they talked about, giving you the little wakey wake tap on the shoulders. I was like, this is just so wrong, because my understanding of, the mechanics behind meditation was that everything's settling down and getting that deep rest that the body and mind need. And if there's sleep that's coming, it's because that's what the body needs. And if you're falling asleep during meditation, it's better to allow that rest to happen, instead of fighting that and then creating, I guess, confusion. So not to take anything away from Zazen, there's definitely, it's a very special technique in its own right. But for me, it maybe because I learned TM first, and I learned that if you fall asleep, it's because the body needs rest. But it makes sense to me too. So I would say if we're falling asleep in meditation, it's probably because that's exactly what we need, and to get more find ways to get more rest also, so we don't have to fall asleep in meditation.
Definitely. I'd like to add one more point on that.
Please.
It's I found that if sleep is coming out during meditation, and you kind of embrace that and naturally wake up, it's when you, after you wake up and start your meditation again, whatever meditation it is, I found that I just have more clear experiences inside because that surface fatigue is gone now. And so, if that is valuable for that person, then definitely do that. Go to sleep. But don't go to sleep on the train because you'll get late, go late to work.
Or you'll miss your stop and you'll end up somewhere and not know where you are.
Exactly. It's happened before.
So, I think so.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I hope we answered that question thoroughly.
I think that was a wonderful answer to that question. Question number 2. This person did her meditation before crawling out of bed in the morning. She says she's been laying down for meditation because when it comes time to relaxing her neck and her back, I think she's having a difficult time trying to figure out how to do this to retain a posture, like a sitting position, but also to have relaxation in this area of her body. Any suggestions on that one?
Yeah, so this position thing is there's a lot of hot topics about this. What's the correct position? What's going to allow you to become enlightened the quickest? It's kind of like it's contradictory because we have an image of a certain posture for meditation, but at the same time we're trying to relax our minds, even and consequently our bodies. Now, how are we supposed to keep this position if our awareness becoming more relaxed? It's kind of like really strenuous for the mind and body to do both. What I found is that we all know that the head is it's relatively big and it's relatively heavy.
Yes.
It's like a bowling ball sitting on top of your neck, and so you can imagine how much tension and fatigue is building up around our shoulders and body. And unless you're like Arnold Schwarzenegger, bodybuilder, we're going to have a hard time keeping that up for 10, 20, 30 minutes. So I find that naturally, everybody's head does start to droop, and things like this. To answer that question, of course, it varies with different meditation techniques. Certain techniques like Zen and Buddhist meditations, they require you to sit up straight in a certain posture for the whole time. That's like your self-discipline. But with TM, just to compare, they just allow you to sit comfortably, just the way you would sit at work or at a cafe when you're relaxed. And you just close your eyes. And it doesn't matter if your neck droops or not, because our attention is going inwards. And so our bodies are naturally going to become more relaxed, which means that we're not going to really be aware of our bodies and how it's positioned. Now, saying that, from my own experience, whether it was Zen, Buddhist, or TM meditations, if I did start to droop and I catch myself doing that after a few minutes, I was like, oh, my head is drooping down. I come back up. I realized that there's a lot of tension behind my neck. And I've noticed, long-time meditators, 20, 30, years of meditation people, like, especially the older people, like, they have a hunchback. And it's like, there's some, like, tension here, because, like, they've meditated like this for their whole lives. And that kind of scared me. So, this is kind of like on the sidetrack of this question, but I found that for me, the best position is to kind of sit in those office chairs where there's a head support, where you can kind of lean back. That way, you are sitting up straight, but then you don't have to be aware of your body while you become more and more relaxed inside. And so I hope that does help that person with that question.
Yeah, or maybe even if they needed to prop themselves up some so that there could be kind of resting the head and not having to hold it. Any sort of position that kind of rests the head up instead of having to try to manage his bowling ball for 10, 20, minutes or however long the person is meditating for. We haven't talked about this in the course yet either. Like I said, this has just been very introduction to starting to get people doing something really great for themselves every day. But yoga or some sort of stretching before sitting to meditate can help kind of release some of that built up tension so we don't sit down already so sore. But I would also say if someone has an injury or something's really uncomfortable, it's better to find a way to sit comfortably to do the meditation than to try to sit up straight during it and be constantly aware of this pain. Yeah. It shouldn't be a painful experience, in my opinion.
Definitely. We face enough pain, already, so during those meditation techniques, it should be the most comfortable, the most simple, the most natural experience. So definitely stay comfortable.
Awesome. I agree. Okay, let's see. Third question. Is it okay to meditate at night before going to bed?
No. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. No, that's another hot topic too. A lot of people, for practical reasons, they don't have time to meditate during the day. So the only time they can meditate is before they sleep. And I always tell my students, it's better to meditate than not meditate. So if that's the only time, then just do it. It's not going to hurt anybody. But then, of course, there's recommendations and also some rules for like other meditations. Some meditations, strictly say no. Don't meditate before sleep because your inner awareness is going to wake up. You're becoming more aware inside, which means that when you try to go to sleep, you're going to kind of be awake. And, start becoming paranoid, like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to sleep. The sun's coming up. And then you realize that you didn't go to sleep, the whole night. So a general recommendation is to at least leave 30 minutes or an hour between your meditation and going to sleep. But then, of course, being very practical in this modern age, if you don't have any time, throughout the whole day to meditate, then, the best time to do it is when you're relaxed at your home, right before you go to sleep. So definitely. And of course, I did bring up the, dream state meditations and sleeping, state meditations. And those are practiced right before you sleep. So it definitely depends what kind of meditation or what is the purpose you're doing it for.
Mm-hmm. I think some of the people are using the guided relaxation meditation that I have on my website. And it's basically just putting the attention on the breath and then on the body, any tension or tightness that might be in the body, and just to use the mind to consciously release what's going on. So to work to help build up that awareness around how our mind can just having intention for releasing stress and tension in the body, something we can do easily throughout the day. It's much more surface level. It doesn't have the same effect that TM does, obviously, but it is very good for consciously being able to start to release and let go of some of that stuff we've been holding on to. So I think the people that are doing that before bed, it's probably helping them to have
I think so.
better sleep.
I think so. I find myself doing that naturally too when I lay down.
Yes.
So it definitely works.
Scanning the body of everything. Yeah.
So very good. Very good.
Awesome. And then the last one for today, I find my mind wandering all over the place during meditation, and it's hard to focus. Any tips or tricks to help?
Ooh, that's a really good one. It's the mind. The mind likes to scatter. We've always noticed that our mind always thinks of something. It's always looking at something. It's always doing something. Even if we close our eyes, it's always just kind of chatter. No, there's one tendency of mind. I'll generalize it. Our mind is complicated, but there's only one tendency behind it. It's always looking for greater charm, greater happiness, more satisfaction. If it's interesting to it, then the mind naturally gravitates towards it. Like we can take an example. I'll give you 3 examples. For example, we're sitting here, and to our right, maybe my right's over here. To our right, we have music is coming out, and to be honest, it's horrible. It's dreadful music. It's like death metal or something. And then to our left, it's very familiar music, from that, summer vacation. It's like, wow, I love that music. Naturally and effortlessly, our mind's going to go towards that nice music. If we're in a conversation, that conversation is very, very boring. It's like, oh my God, why me? But if right next to us, there's like this young, like lively, interesting conversation going without any effort, it's like our mind's going to go naturally towards, that conversation. We're trying to be respectful for the person, trying to listen, but our minds are naturally towards the interesting conversation. But also, our last example is we get our two favorite books, right? Or not our favorite books, the two bestsellers. In the first book, we open it, like, oh my God, why did I buy this book? And it's like, you read pages, it's like only like 10, 20 minutes pass. It's like, oh my God, right? And the second book, as soon as you open it, it's like all the secrets and all the message and information you've been looking for. And like hours pass, and you don't even realize it. Like, oh my God, already 5 hours passed. Like we've all had those experiences, right? Yes. It's like, where did time go? So that is a natural tendency that our mind has. It's always looking for something interested, and gives us satisfaction. And so that's why when we close our eyes or have our eyes open, our mind's always wandering. It's looking for that happiness, and it finds something, it focuses on it, but then it gets bored of that. It goes to the next thing. So it's a natural thing, and I don't think it's a really good idea to control anything natural. If the water is flowing and you're trying to restrict it, it's going to find a way to get around that somehow, right? Yes. So, the question implied that this person doesn't want the mind to wander because, they're asking for any tricks or tips. I say let the mind wander. That's the most natural, tendency of the mind. And once it does find something that satisfies it and fulfills it with its happiness, then it's going to stay still, right? So until you reach that state, I say just let the dog run loose. Just let it go and just see where it goes. Maybe it'll take you to your goal, And that's why I had a hard time doing focused attention meditations like Zazen, because you had to be really strict and really filter out those thoughts. And my mind just naturally wanted to gravitate towards, wow, I'm really hungry, or wow, I really want to do something else. So it was really difficult for me, and so I didn't do it, too long. And then Buddhist meditations, they do open monitoring. It's like they give you a philosophical concept. You kind of like let your mind visualize and wander about. And that was more freeing than a focused attention. But after a while, it's like you have to continue to think of something. Like when I'm walking through a forest, I see a deer. What is that deer telling me? What do I think of that deer? And it's just like you have to keep it going. But after a while, it's like, I don't want to think about this anymore, So I say that if you're just naturally relaxing your body and just seeing whatever comes out, whatever you feel, whatever thoughts that comes out, it's natural. So just let all those tensions go and see where you end up. And I think that the tip is the fact that there's no tip. The tip is to just let it go and just let everything come, accept everything as it comes. So,
Awesome. I like that. Yeah, I think there's such this dogma or this idea around meditation that for it to be right or to be correct, that we're not supposed to have any thoughts, nothing else is supposed to be going on. But the reason all this stuff is going on, like you said, either the mind is looking for something pleasant to put its attention on, or we just have so many things going on in our lives, and to actually take a moment to close our eyes and focus, like we have to process everything that's been going on, or, we actually start to relax a little bit, and then all this stress and tension and things we've been holding on to and like pushing down either mentally or physically or whatever, finally gets a chance to start to release and come out. So it's okay to have thoughts. It's okay to fall asleep, right? This is kind of the point of it. Just take the time to do it, make it a priority, and trust that what needs to happen is going to happen. Exactly. Do you agree with that?
Definitely. It's as long as you get it started, everything else is going to be automatic the body is more intelligent than what we probably think it is. It knows where the tensions are. It knows where it's trying to hide things. And so when you give it a chance to kind of unwind, it's going to all come out. And whenever something does come out, or even the thought, wow, my mind is wandering, I want it to stop. Even if that thought comes out, just realize, be aware of that. It's like, wow, I have a part of me that wanders, but also a part of me that wants it to stop. And you don't do anything beyond that. You just realize that, and it'll become more and more. You just kind of relax into that. And definitely, what you guys are doing is a good thing. How you relax your body. That's definitely a good, a good path, a good direction. And what I found is, by adding myself, TM to my meditations, it just allowed my mind to become more free. Now my mind wanders more during meditation, but then it actually knows how to find the goal, of being completely relaxed, completely silent inside. It's like no worries, no anxiety. And so, I think that everybody knows what, they need, what works for them. So I commend them for at least starting.
Yay.
And hope that they have a good journey. Yes. Yeah, of course, they have a wonderful teacher, wonderful coach, Shanda-san. So, yes, they're blessed.
Thank you. And if anyone, several of the people in the group are here in Japan. If anyone's interested to learn more about TM, I can let them contact you.
Definitely. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah. And then there's also TM centers all over and teachers all over the world. So we're fortunate for that.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you so much for today. It's been wonderful to talk with you and to hear your wisdom on all of this. It's always a pleasure.
It's a pleasure to always, share my experiences and making an advantage for others, for sure.
Doing our part to help make the world a better place and people to enjoy their lives more.
Exactly.
Awesome.
So thank you very much.
Thank
Wonderful.
you.